Good evening and welcome to the Rochester Board of Education work session. Today is Tuesday, October 14th, and the time is 6:06 p.m. We're going to call this meeting to order at this time, officially beginning the work session. We're going to start under the conversation around board discussion items. And right now, we're going to move into our policies presentations. Please keep in mind, Commissioners, that the policies presented under board discussion items this evening, once we are able to look at them, we can then potentially motion for these policies to move forward into their first reading. So, Charisma, I'm going to turn the discussion over to you at this time.
Thank you, President Simmons. Good evening. So for this month's policy review, we're reviewing policies 4526, 4532, 4730, 4750, and 5605. So the policies followed this review, which is our current policy review process. Excluding policy 5605, these are the folks that contributed to the policy. As our standard operating procedure, relevant advisory groups review the policy, and then it went to a district administration. Final recommendations are being forwarded to the board. Note that policy 5605 did not follow this procedure due to the immediate updates that were needed. And so policies 4526, 4730, and 4750 did not have any significant changes nor NESBA recommendations. Policy 4532, school volunteers, updated the second and third paragraphs to provide more explicit guidance for school volunteers. And in voter registration for students, policy 5605, NESBA recommended it, we have updated this policy to address a recently amended state law about student voter registration and pre-registration. As a result, the recommendations from our policy tonight updated to align with NESBA recommendations and updated to align with similar policies in the Big Five and locally. If the policies are forwarded out of the meeting tonight, they are slated to be voted on during the December business meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dijon. I'm just refreshing my screen. I'm having some technical difficulties because it's not opening the policies for me. I see the slab that says multiple policy presentation. Maybe this is it. Maybe I'm on a bit of a delay here. So, Clerk Travis, where it says multiple policy presentations under board discussion items, there seems to be an attachment there.
Yes.
And when I click on it, it usually will open right up to everything for me. It's not opening on me. I'll just follow along so I don't hold up the meeting. If you want to just kind of start that, and I'll try to follow along where I can.
So that's the presentation I just concluded, but I'm more than happy to share any policies that any commissioners have questions about.
Okay. No, now it's opening. Okay, I'm clicking on other stuff. Okay, so
You're
we're
good.
looking at policy 4526 at this time?
Yes. 4526, yes.
Okay.
But the titles.
So are there any discussion items or any comments on policy 4526, that being the internet policy? With none, motion to move policy 4526 forward to its first readings for the October business meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Griffin, second by Vice President Malloy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Policy 4526 moves forward. Looking at policy 4532, being school volunteers. Any discussion around policy 4532? Commissioner Santiago?
And this is just like a side note as far as the policy, because I know we create policies, but a lot of times homework is currently like in our current education not being sent home with students. And I know that because three of my little sisters are in the RCSD, and homework is not existent at the moment as far as what they're bringing home and what they're not bringing home. And so we can pass a policy, but I'm hoping that it's executed in the way that this policy is written by the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Santiago. Any other thoughts or discussion regarding policy 4532, school volunteers? With none, motion to move policy 4532 forward to the October business meeting?
Motion.
Yeah.
I thought you said homework first, or am I wrong?
No, here's 4532.
Oh, so striking Commissioner Santiago's remarks, he'll go again, we're gonna rewind. Policy 4532 is regarding school volunteers. We have a motion on the table. Who motioned, please? Commissioner Griffin, seconded by Vice President Malloy. All in favor of policy 4532? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and with that, we'll move forward to policy 4730, being homework. And we have Commissioner Santiago's comments regarding policy 4730. Any other comments? Being none, motion to move policy 4730 forward to the October business meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Griffin, second by Vice President Malloy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Policy 4730 moves forward to the board business meeting in October. Okay, we have policy 4750 here for the promotion and retention of students. And I don't know what my technical difficulties are, because I see other folks are able to pull theirs open. You're having the same issue?
Yeah, I'm having across the board.
So a number of us are not able to actually see the policies in real time as we push on them. So we appreciate everyone's patience while we try to work through this.
My other screen is not coming on either.
Policy that it's simply amending a date. I don't see any other tracked changes.
I know for myself,
USB-C
student
signal
retention
from
and
red
grade
flash.
promotion
Get ready to wake up.
are areas of concern for me, I think for everyone. And we know that if a student is, needing additional supports, that we want them to be able to master or have the foundational skills to do well in the next grade level before being promoted. And I know that that's a something simple to say, but not necessarily easy when you look at all of the nuances that go into that. But we're not voting on this tonight, so we have more time to unpack the policy. I'll come back for the next time we discuss it with more specific recommendations around this particular policy. Does any other commissioners have thoughts that they'd like to share regarding grade promotion and retention of students? Commissioner Santiago.
Yeah, I just want to agree with you as far as the issue that social promotion could have in our school. And although it's not showing up now, we will have more opportunities to discuss this, but I think that this is an important policy for the board to look at and see how we can possibly empower and better for our outcomes and our students' outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Santiago. As a reminder to the board, these are going to the first reading, so they are not a done deal just yet. So with that said, all those, the motion to move policy 4750 forward to the October business meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Griffin, second by Vice President Malloy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 4750 carries. Next policy, now you said with the exclusion of 5605, Clerk Travis.
Just that it didn't follow a similar timeline, but.
Okay. This is regarding voter registration for students, which we know having students who understand the process of voting and civil discord is extremely important, valuable, and necessary in our society, especially in today's world. With that, are there any statements or thoughts around 5605?
I have some.
Commissioner or Vice President Malloy?
I just agree with the track changes. I think this is a great opportunity for civic engagement. So I support the changes as written.
Thank you. Any other comments regarding voter registration policy 5605? With none, I'm sorry, Commissioner Santiago?
No, I just want to say I cannot see the track changes because board docs is still loading for me. But whatever we can do to engage our young people into voting and engage our young people to be civically engaged citizens is always important. And so excited for this policy to go through and for the first, second, and third reading until we pass it as a policy in the books. Thank you.
Awesome. So with that, policy 5605, I'm sorry, Commissioner Griffin, thank you, guys. Let me put my head up.
I'm sorry, I just want to add to what Vice President Malloy said about the civic engagement piece. One thing we need to do, I believe collectively, is because civic engagement is a part of the duties as far as the children are concerned, we need to basically, I think, possibly look into amending what we did. Yes, we do have it as regulations through the state, but we don't have it now in our dialect stating how we're implementing the civic engagement piece. So with that being said, that is something that we need to bring back, and we need to show that the implementation of civic engagement that was previously removed from our handbook. Thank you.
Can I speak to that?
Vice President Malloy?
Thank you. Yeah, I know a lot of people can't see the tracks changes at this point. So I'm not sure who can see it or not, but it specifically outlines how we're going to meet these obligations. Part of it is like posting information regarding voter registration, offering registration and pre-registration during their history classes, especially the required ones junior and senior year. Displaying voter registration and pre-registration posters, ensuring voter registration and pre-registration applications are available in school offices, hosting voter registration and pre-registration events throughout the year, and collaborating with local organizations through RCSD-approved protocols and procedures. So I think it outlines really, these are additions that maybe, I mean, they weren't there before. So these additions, I think, are pretty valuable, and it's clearly outlined.
Okay, I'm not saying that in specifically. What I'm saying overall, with civic engagements, what we've done was we remove in how we actually are working it in our system, in our district. As it is in other districts, civic engagement shows and advises everyone how it is implemented overall in the district. By us taking it out of our piece, what it does is not giving us what steps are we taking with civic engagements, which is very important. It shouldn't be just with the voter registration piece, but it should be noted overall how we are implementing civic engagement in our district as a whole. And that's what they have done in other districts, and unfortunately, we have taken that out, so it's not clear anymore how we're doing that. Thank you. I'm not talking specifically about this, I'm talking across the board. Thank
Are
you.
you guys all set? Okay. Thank you very much. Any other thoughts around, what was that, voter registration we were looking at? So with that, motion to move policy 5605 forward to the board business meeting, October.
Motion?
Motion by Commissioner Griffin, seconded by Vice President Malloy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next policy up for discussion is the video conferencing policy 2325. At this time, I'm going to turn this particular policy over to Clerk Travis. I do want to, before I give you the mic, Clerk Travis, respectfully, is just highlight that we want to make sure that we are kind of aligning with the student outcomes governance. We want to make sure that we are in a space where we're creating conditions that support strong governance, and that we're modeling the professionalism that we expect from our district body, even so as board members. And so with that, this is a policy that we started having a discussion around, and we'll continue that discussion at this time.
Right. So good evening again. So just really quickly, this first part is a new section, is a preamble that's being recommended. So this is a CGCS proposed policy language. So you will not see it in the actual policy that is attached, only in the PowerPoint. The board recognizes that its own behavior sets the tone for the entire organization. Consistent participation, professionalism, and adherence to agreed upon protocols during meetings are essential to maintaining public trust and keeping the board's focus on improving student outcomes. So based off this section, the question for the board, is this something that you all want to move forward with adding?
Okay. Back with me?
Is that a question for us to consider then?
What did you say?
So the question is, based off of this section, what is basically commissioner's feelings on it? Do you want to add it? Do you want to?
Policy language?
Yes.
I think it's a good preamble. I think it makes sense, personally. But I'll open that up for other folks.
I would support this proposed language change.
Any other positions on the preamble language from CGCS proposed policy language on slide 3 for the presentation? Commissioner Santiago?
Yeah, I agree with it, and I hope that it is something that is followed. But just like all of our other policies, it's important that it's written and also executed on a daily basis or on a meeting basis.
All right. You often hear me say policy is only as good as its practice, so that is very true. So right now, I feel like a few folks have weighed in. Commissioner Patterson?
Yeah, I also accept the changes.
Okay. So there seems to be some general consensus around that, if we can move forward.
Yep. So the next couple of slides, just as the FYI, will basically recap what you all talked about at the last time, August work session that you all had. So the first section is section 2, video conferencing under extraordinary circumstances. And so I won't read the entire slide, but basically, based off this proposed language when it comes to caregiving, it was a mixed recommendations from commissioners. Should not be added since not legally required. Sometimes other conflicts come up that only allow a board member to video conference. Should be added as commissioners take an oath. So that's where commissioners landed. So the question is, how do we move forward with this language? There's not a consensus last time.
Okay, and which part are we talking about? Say the part again that you were looking at. There's a lot on here.
So the extraordinary, the caregiving piece specifically.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of, for me, I'll speak for myself, I'm not interested in getting into too much of what you have going on, I have going on, they have going on. I think that's a little bit much, right? Because even in the role of board, I think there is accountability that we all hold each other accountable, even in regardless of your formal title or role. So I'm held accountable just the same as other folks. There's no supervisors on here, so and I think that's where even when the community's watching certain things, they're thinking from like a regular workplace organizational structure, and that is not this. This is a civic engagement space. So I think the language is written loosely to allow for some level of flexibility. I think it's putting parameters or clarity around what that looks like. So pose your question, Clerk Travis, clearly for me one more time. I know that it's about the extraordinary circumstances, like how are we defining that?
So the question is, with the caregiving piece, based off of what happened last time, I didn't get a consensus from the board on where commissioners wanted to go. Do you want to add this language or not? It was kind of mixed on where folks want to go. So it sounds like you agree. I don't know how other commissioners feel about it, but I kind of need at least 4 to know if we should move forward or not.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look at the actual thing. I'm looking at the slide, but that's not helping me. So I think looking at it the way it's like caring for a child with severe disability or complex frequent medical attention.
And the slide itself is pulled from the actual policy, if it helps anyone, especially when the eyes.
Right, yeah, I just gotta read it in the policy form. So I'm not gonna hold folks up while I go through this. I will open it to Commissioner Santiago. I see your hand.
Yeah, I think that it's important that we allow this body of government to be an equitable body for representation. And part of that is understanding that in order for us to have true representation of parents, of former students, of youth, of different people in this community, we cannot create barriers for those people to represent. And so I think in order for us to stay equitable to all, and any family or anybody who decides to run to represent on this board, that this language should always stay very high level and not get into the details as far as what is and what isn't acceptable, because everybody has a different experience, everybody has a different lifestyle, and if we truly want to be a board that represents the city of Rochester, we have to understand that people are going to come onto this board with different circumstances. And so I don't believe that us adding language into what's acceptable and what's not acceptable as far as the video conferencing is equitable to the representation that we want on this board. And so I'm not in support of it at all. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Vice President Malloy?
Thank you. And just in keeping with discussions on equity, I think the proposed policy language respects that, so I support the proposed policy language change.
Commissioner Griffin?
I would say, yes, I agree with what is written here. I think that in the world we live in today, we have to have some type of parameters. Unfortunately, if we don't, then things are taken advantage of. So I think that, and it may not be intentional, but it happens. So I think that we must have something noted in written in policy to ensure that we have some type of parameters and guidelines set for anyone that takes a seat on this board. We have to go back too and think about when video conferencing wasn't even available and what they did then compared to what we're doing now. I think people don't take it as serious as others did back when we didn't even have these availabilities of video conferencing or what have you. So I often look back and then look forward to see how the differences are and how people were staying steadfast in their position and making great changes, and also faced adversity as well in doing it. So I too agree with what is proposed on this policy and the language that is presented today.
Okay. Commissioner Patterson?
I also, for the record, support the proposed language.
And I want to just again note NISBA's, their proposed policy language and how they define extraordinary circumstances. It is loosely written, because I do want us to recognize that at any point in time, one of us could be in a situation where we are dealing with what we believe are extraordinary circumstances. And so, should that arise, and what that looks like, we want to be in a space where we can extend grace and understanding. I think where I'm trying to craft language is around when they wrote this and they said extraordinary circumstances, I don't think extraordinary circumstances exist on a regular basis. And so I think that's where I'd like us to try to identify some parameters, some reasonable parameters. So I'm not interested in getting into justifying someone if they're sick or if they, what that looks like. I can't prove that, does that make sense? I'm not willing to go on an FBI hunt to prove anything. However, I do think there's reasonable guidelines we could potentially place around this. And so the frequency of said extraordinary circumstances, I'm not sure, because that's what the video conferencing policy was created to achieve. So the understanding when this policy was written is that folks come and they're in their meetings in person. And it was only written to accommodate extraordinary circumstances such as COVID. We adopted this and we decided to keep it so it's here. What does this look like in reasonable practice at this point in time? We have a 12-month period that we come for meetings? Is it 5 times within that 12-month period? Like commissioners have the flexibility they may have something that comes up. And you have five opportunities to do that, because it could be me next week, it could be you next week, and someone else the following. So what does that look like? Commissioner Patterson?
Yes, and I haven't, I have to apologize, I haven't gone back and taken a look at what the proposal was or what the policy was prior to COVID. The years, what is it, 20 and 21? I'd like to be able to go back and take a look at that and see what was working then. If it was working then, why can't it work now?
I think it was just practice. I think it was written as it is. I think it was just the practice of honoring the policy a bit. And so circumstances can change. And so there is a recommendation here where where the question is, how does the board want to approve video conferencing requests? And per our last conversation, it was suggested at one point, even by myself, where it was like, okay, you know what, notify the board clerk in writing and CC the board president. And, you know, and I was thinking about those things, and I think we center ourselves. I do believe notifying the board, I do think it needs to be notified in writing.
I
It
agree.
needs to be an email communication, not a text, not a phone call, but write the board clerk in writing.
CC
Don't
the
have to
president.
see, you don't have to CC me.
I
because
think you should. I think
I
you should.
appreciate your opinion on that. I appreciate your opinion on that, but I do believe, because the board clerk will have that that written communication. And then also, the other piece that we want to consider, I'm just going to go through this first section really quickly, is only one commissioner being allowed to video conference at a time. So I don't think there's all 6 of us on at one time, but there are times where there's maybe 3. We go to conferences, things of that nature. It could be, we would need to look at that as well. But maybe is there only one commissioner on at one time, or is there at least 2?
I'd say 1.
Can I,
Questions, Commissioner Santiago?
I actually don't, again, I don't think that's equitable to representation. And so we're going to have a lot of people in the future on this board, and we have to create a space where they can come and represent, even with their lifestyle. And so, like, saying only one person can be on the video conferencing call, like you said, we don't know what our experiences are going to be like. This is listed out in the policy as far as extraordinary circumstances. We don't know if 2 of us are going to be experiencing that at the same time, or 3 of us. And so we create a policy that then ties our hands of representation. And so I personally don't agree with it, simply for being equitable. And I think that there should be high level expectations. But I think once we're getting into this is what extraordinary circumstances are and this is what's not, I don't think that that's actually true to the lifestyle that people live. How can a policy tell me what's extraordinary circumstances?
But I
and
think we
what's
agreed
not?
on that. I think we said we're not going to try to define extraordinary circumstances,
Right.
because of my extraordinary circumstance next month, you may or may
Right.
not, right? The other thing I'm not looking to do is, again, we're not employers of one another, right? So I'm not looking for you to show me proof of your extraordinary circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see proof of your medical situation, because I'm not giving you mine, right? So there's a certain standard that we have. What I do know is that it's October 2025. And what I do know is that from January to this month, this is 10 months, I think I've been at every single board meeting. But guess what? And I haven't left, been here, but Thursday, I got to step away from you all. I got to step away, and I got to step away early. Right? And so the same conversation we're having, I'm held liable to that same expectation, where I'm letting you all know right now, right? But I would then need to inform our board clerk in writing, so it's time-stamped, she knows, it's communicated, whatever the case is, that I need to step away early, and that's pre-communicated. But I think that's just professional decorum.
Right. I wasn't fully done.
Go ahead.
But I do agree
I'll come back to
with creating those. I wasn't done before we had a conversation, but I do agree that there should be expectations as far as possibly communicating and all that stuff. But I just think that we have to be careful not to tie our hands in this policy, whether we're talking about only one commissioner should be on Zoom. And, I think that that's just a little bit too much in the weeds of people's personal lives. And that's more than just this current board, but the board that follows us and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Patterson.
Thank you. We've taken an oath, to be here. We represent the people, we represent the community.
Okay, we're gonna just, if we can do not the sidebars, and then if you can continue. Understood. Commissioner Patterson?
You can't do it to somebody and not expect it done to you. Let's talk.
Can I call the meeting to order for a moment? Can we have order?
Thank you. We've been elected to represent the public, and I would assume the public expects us to be up here at this dais, barring, if we have extraordinary circumstances. We get paid a salary, and we're supposed to be setting the example. And we've been doing a poor job of setting that example as a board. We've been abusing the system by not being at meetings or being on video when we could be here. And if we're all truthful with one another, some will admit that. Excuse me, I'm talking. Excuse me, I'm talking,
Okay, I'm
please.
gonna ask for order, and listen, I think that we are more than capable, all of us, even if we don't agree with aspects of the policy, which is what happens. This is okay for us to have discourse. We are capable of getting through this conversation and finding resolution to it, even if it's a no. We could do this. So if you can finish your statement, and then I'll move on.
And I'll make it short. Expectations. What's expected of us as a board? Either we're going to move to be a functional board, or we're going to continue to be a dysfunctional board.
Okay, thank you.
Can I have?
Commissioner Patterson. Commissioner Griffin?
Thank you. I just want to reflect on what used to be and what is now. COVID has changed a lot of things in a lot of districts and a lot of structure and things, the way things have been done. So if I could clearly say, how was it before COVID? How did this whole thing work before COVID? And if it worked prior to COVID the way it was, why is it such an upheaval, a battle now when we have implemented something that was not there prior? So I think that we need to take those things into consideration because we know COVID has changed the dynamics of a lot of things that we do. So with all due respect for everything, I think that maybe the changes being made should be based on more so the needs and what we have presented here and how our world is made up today. I think for me, that's how I would look at it. So if we have something that was in prior to COVID, let's look at that and compare it to what has changed and add those pieces to the piece that was already laid out prior to COVID. And I think that we can come to some type of agreement maybe on where we should stand. But I think in some situations, we're making something bigger than life because we know how it was before, but because we're able to do it now, we want to continue to do it, and it's just not feasible.
Okay.
So that's my take on it.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffin. Before I move on, I do see hands on the dais. I do want to say, so what I do feel I do see is that there is an appetite to support an email communication to the board clerk if you're going to be absent, if you're going to need to leave early. There'll be a communication to the board clerk in writing, email communication to be specific. I think that's reasonable. As far as how many are on the video conferencing, I do want to consider the idea around quorum. So it's not just necessarily to be hardball, but we have had some quorum issues based on the fact that video conferencing has been leveraged the way it has been, right? And so we need at least 4 individuals here. We know that folks get sick. There's more than one commissioner. With that said, I do think that limiting video conferencing, because we do have a physical requirement to be here, that no more than 2 commissioners be on there. So it's not a matter of just making up rules, but we have to consider quorum. So I do suggest that. Any thoughts on that? I'm gonna go to Commissioner, okay, Vice President Malloy.
I would agree with that, although there are exigent circumstances where you might have 3 commissioners who have COVID, right, and can't be here, or a family emergency. So I don't know how I feel about a specific number. I think that we want to refocus it back to that preamble. The board recognizes that its own behavior sets the tone for the entire organization. Consistent participation, professionalism, and adherence to agreed-upon protocols during meetings are essential to maintaining public trust and keeping the board's focus on improving student outcomes. It sounds to me, I think we're all in agreement on that preamble, it sounds to me that accountability is really important for this board. And so perhaps we could consider adding some type of accountability and review section to this policy instead of naming the specifics for, what constitutes a valid absence. Perhaps we can just simply say the board clerk will maintain attendance and participation records for all meetings.
Well, I've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, including including those attended virtually, and that these records will be reviewed as part of the board's self-evaluation process to assess collective adherence to board commitments and norms related to effective governance. That's our charge, is effective governance. So instead of nitpicking what other commissioners are doing, let's put this back on our governance model, student outcomes focused, and this will aid us and assist us in our self-evaluation process through the Council of Great City Schools.
I still think it needs to be 2 on at one time. And we can approve that third one if we need to, but I've been on here with 2 people, and that was fun. Commissioner Santiago?
I agree with the first part as far as like the email, sending the email to the clerk, and I think that's professionalism. As far as the number, I'm not sure if I still fully agree with the number. I do like the idea that Vice President Malloy just also proposed. But I also want to just say that it's a new time at the same time. Like we're no longer above the pandemic. We're behind the pandemic where, the pandemic has happened. And what might have worked before the pandemic might not work today. And so I think that we also have to realize that we are in a new time. It's no longer 1965, it's 2025, and there's some new things that we got to do. And we can't just continue trying to follow the old practices and the old ways that we've done for a long time and failed. The district was failing before the pandemic. The district is right now working to get better. And so I don't think that going back and finding our old practices is the best way to do it. I think it's time to create something new with the new board, with the new time, with the new circumstances that we're in. Thank you.
Thank you.
President
Yeah, I was picking at Vice President Malloy because we've been, the quarterly report card, that's been a conversation for real. Yes, and I do think I agree 100% that there needs to be some form of a quarterly report card around attendance, and so that can be public facing, but we can get into that a little later. I won't get held up on how many are online at this particular point. It doesn't seem like there's a strong appetite for that. However, I do stand 10 toes on that. Before I go back to you, Vice President Malloy, I think I hear Commissioner Griffin.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cleared my voice on the thing, I didn't mean to do that. However, I just wanted to touch base on, when you're just sending an email to one person and that one person's out of the office, then what happens? I think that clearly the practice has been that we would send it. You have 2 people, one person and then CC'd, only just in the event that someone's absent. So I think that we need to take that into consideration. That is just normal protocol so that we are backing ourselves up automatically. So that's out of a professional lens. That's what I would do, making sure that, that if that person's out, we're able to know that that person is out of the office. That's just
That's a good point. Thank you
Yes.
for that. Commissioner LeBron?
I just want to clarify that we actually do have a staff email that if you send it to that email goes to all 3, which would be Charisma, Francine, and our board clerk. So if we're just sending it to that one email, all 3 of them will get it.
Thank you, Commissioner LeBron. So we kind of are stuck on that, and I want to be mindful of time. What I'm trying to get better at is facilitating these meetings. We're going to get there, you guys. It's 6:46. And this conversation could very easily go into the evening, but we're not going to do that. Charisma, just based on the texture, I can tell that we're going to need to probably come back and revisit. Let's see what we can try to get through while we're here. We'll give it this maybe another 5 minutes if we can, and then determine if we need to pivot a bit. Commissioner Patterson?
You don't think we can take a vote on anything and reach a consensus on anything you're talking about? I think we could. You know, I'm agreeing to move to the two. I think my colleague next to me was thinking of moving to the two. You wanted two, and whoever on the my left side, the left of you, wants two. If we could reach a consensus, we could get something done here tonight instead of putting it off.
Yeah, because the funny thing is, like, things that don't exist, they exist here in the land of RCSD. That's the thing. So I don't want it to turn into like 4 of us up there, 3 of us up there at one time, and I think that can be a point of concern.
Yeah,
And
and the last thing I want to say is, I went to say earlier, is that if the superintendent can request that all his employees return to work, why aren't we returning to work as a board?
because you all we're not each other's employees.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But again, we're setting a precedent.
We are
That's
the
all.
public's employees, and the public, they probably need to come up in here and
Yeah, you're right.
and talk to us about, what we are displaying, because that's who we're ultimately accountable to, as far as the students as well. But Commissioner, Vice President
Yeah,
Malloy.
I guess the more that we can focus this on our student outcomes, focus governance policies, the better. I would say that as we work to trust one another and develop trust with one another and with future boards, we've got to be able to extend that trust to other people. I would say that there have been instances where, I was here, came in anyway, knowing that 3 commissioners would be online for a particular meeting. And even though I was ill, came in because we needed that physical quorum. So I think there is a lot of undue pressure sometimes placed on other commissioners. I'm not sure how I feel about the number, because I think there are extenuating circumstances that might come up here or there. But I think we just have to consider each other and respect each other's time and efforts. There are times when people haven't been able to video conference in while ill, that type of thing. But anyway, thank you for listening.
Okay, so basically, the core of this would be getting to frequency of absences and frequency of early departures. And the reality is, people may have to do that from time to time. And I don't think it's any of our place to determine if they're excusable to do that or not, because you don't know what a person's circumstances are, nor would I want someone trying to determine that for me. However, I have signed up to serve in this office of board commissioner. I am expected to be here. There are business meetings that come up, things of that nature. So again, I may have to leave early. I may not be able to be here. Thursday, like I said, I'm leaving early. The frequency of that is where the concern is, especially when it becomes a quorum issues and we have to stop a board meeting because we don't have enough commissioners here. Now, has that happened a numerous amount of times? No, but it has happened, and the objective is to not keep that going. So is there where are you all around the frequency of absences? Is it realistic to say, hey, once we get to about 5 absences in this year, that's a concern. There are extenuating circumstances where it may be way more than 5 absences, and we actually have something like that going on, and that's being honored. That's not a point of question. But it shouldn't be a matter of convenience either. So how does that work for us?
I just want to point out, though, that any of us could also go to our doctors and get a medical documentation if you are having a medical issue and put that on record. There's no policy that is going to tell me I have to be here medically. My doctor has pulled me or said I can't be around individuals for whatever reason. I'm speaking for me. And I think this is a little bit too much trying to control what other people do. I want to recognize that attendance with video conferencing has been an ongoing issue. I know that and I know you guys want to say it's equity, but the reality is that some of us do still have small children. Some of us do still have kids that we're taking to and from in this school district, not a charter school or another school, in this district that we have to interface with. Some of us are employed, and some of us are not. And we have to acknowledge that too, because I'm not going to be competing with someone who works at a bar or is retired or doesn't have a job. Like, I'm not going to do that as someone who has a job and has 10,000 responsibilities and a lot of littles. I'm still raising a bunch of kids. So I just want to point that out, that regardless of whatever is written in a policy, that the law still allows for us to go to our doctor and get a note. Thank you.
Absolutely, it does, and I think we said the same thing in that regard, as far as someone can be sick, and that is being honored right now. And nor am I interested, I'll speak for myself, in trying to determine if someone's circumstance qualifies, because they're not going to be able to determine if mine does. However, I think the frequency is noted, and I'm concerned with that. And when it becomes to a matter of quorum and our ability to conduct business, which is what we took the oath to do, that is when it becomes concerning for me. So I don't want to do that type of stuff, but it's been noticed, and how do we solve for that? So for me, I know, again, it's October 14th. I think I've been at every single meeting. That's because I've been able to be. And something could turn around and happen tomorrow, and I might have to miss 3 meetings. Who knows, you know? So you never know what your circumstances are going to be. But when is when, and how do we solve for that? Are we saying that we are a board that can conduct ourselves responsibly as the CGCS, this opening statement they had, the preamble? Is that what we're going to do? Because if we were doing that, this would not even be a topic of conversation. So it doesn't sound as if we have any solutions this evening. Again, I do hear folks, the respect for, so one thing we did solve at this point, Charisma, is that there seems to be at least a consensus around the email form of communication. There are some thoughts around having two folks. I think you might have missed the statement that does go through to the full clerk's office, that communication automatically. So if someone is out, there are other folks that see it. So that is, I think that solves for that particular piece. We're not able to come around anything else, but I do think we need to start, I'm going to encourage my colleagues to start thinking about the frequency of absences and then early departures.
So I know Vice President Malloy had touched on this about accountability. I did have that as a slide in here. Since she brought it up, if it's okay for you all to finish that conversation, I can go to that before you close out on this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So based off of CGCS's proposed, I know Vice President Malloy already read this. What is the consensus? Do commissioners want to add this as or not? Yeah.
That's a yes for me. Commissioner Santiago?
Yes, but I also want to add it to the ending part. I think possibly when we're talking about absences, if there's no communication for like 5 meetings or so, I think that there should be possibly a process or like action steps. So like whether it's a reach out at 5 meetings or something of that sort. Like if there's no contact coming through, so like you have no clue why there's a commissioner missing 5 meetings or something like that. Possibly like a reach out or something of that sort. But I think maybe creating like a plan as far as how that's handled and accounted for in those situations. Secondly, I support the proposed language.
And that was a loose, that is what has happened in previous pieces, so that's perfect.
That's just an idea if it's already.
Yeah, but I'm still not comfortable with coming here for the last 10 months, and I'm just kind of like, this is not okay. And I respect your position, Commissioner Santiago, I really do, as far as like equity and considering the world is changing, needs are changing, all of those type of things. At the end of the day, one of the things when I ran for this office, I went to this space, they were talking about running for school board, and they asked, is this a good time? Right? What do you have going on in your life? Are you going to be able to fulfill the obligations of the office? And so when I consider my ability to fulfill that and knowing that that could actually change for me, I might have to make a different determination. And so these are not offices that we have that flexibility. There's an obligation that we took an oath to uphold, and it is not to be taken lightly. And so we are accountable to the community with that, Charisma. For slide 11, I'm in agreement with that. I think it can live in the form of a quarterly report card that is public-facing under the commission, whatever the case is, and they can just kind of see that along with meeting minutes, that type of thing. Any other thoughts? This is,
I just want to say I agree with what you were saying. I've been here just about every meeting since January also. I might have left early for different reasons, but I've been here every meeting also. That's because I had the opportunity to do so. But I also know, let's say another 18-year-old runs in a couple years or next year or something of that sort, like I was able to get transportation. I was able to find ways from college to get all the way here. I was able, but that's not the same circumstance for everybody.
yeah.
And so that when I say that, that's just the place I'm coming from, is making the space for different people to run for this office and not be confined by the different issues.
I do hear you. Thank you for that thought. So with that said,
I kind of, so right now I have 3 commissioners' fill-ins on this, but the other question is, since you brought up the whole report card, is that something else that needs to be added? Do you all want a report card every quarterly? And then do I have
Something without thoroughly discussing it?
so that's the question. Do you want to add that?
note for continued conversation.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. All of these things are continued conversation. We're not solving it tonight, and we're not voting this into policy tonight, but we are having a preliminary discussion for this iteration of the board. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what the past looked like, but I know what we're doing right now, and it ain't okay. So we gotta put that all on there and move it forward to the first readings if everyone agrees, and then we can put a hook on it for then. I'm gonna end with Vice President Malloy, and then Charisma, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, and just to clarify earlier, when I was talking about the student outcomes focused governance self-evaluation rubric, I actually wasn't referring to the public-facing report card. So we can have more discussion on that. But more so, I was thinking that we can evaluate ourselves as a board, not as individuals, but as a board, and be able to answer questions like, how consistently have we maintained a quorum and participated in meetings as agreed? Other questions might include, how have our meeting habits supported or distracted from the progress of our students or from student outcomes? And have our meeting structures and member behaviors modeled the focus that we need to improve those outcomes? So I think those are the types of questions that ultimately we're going to be able or need to be able to answer as a full body when we go through that student outcomes focused government or governance self-evaluation rubric. So I'll
Thank
end
you.
with that. Thank you.
Okay, so all in favor of moving policy 2325 forward to the board business meeting for first readings?
Is it how it's proposed right now?
Excuse me, as it is, and Charisma, if you want to provide any clarity.
Before you move forward, I just wanted to know if anyone else is in agreement with this last language, so then I know we can move this forward or not. The accountability language. So right now I have 3 commissioners who said, yes, let's move this forward. I include you. So right now I have commissioners, so Malloy, Santiago, and Simmons. Anyone else agrees with this accountability language?
Accountability,
So
just
I know
showing,
which way you all, yes.
if you all can vocalize that so that clerk Travis can hear us.
Yes. Okay, so with that being said, if you're going to move this forward, as of right now, as it stands, you're moving forward with the preamble, you're moving forward with, what is it, the,
Written communication.
yes, written communication, skip the page, written communication, and then with the accountability section, I don't think you're gonna get any further with this consensus on a number, so I would recommend leaving it as is, ready in policy, because it doesn't sound like commissioners want to move either way. So those are the pieces. The pieces you need to further discuss is the disability section that we skipped over, and the temporary mutant of board members. That's up to you, if you want to go over there now.
This won't even open for me again. Like, I had it open and I went out and now it's like, well, it's open over here. Let me see. Here it is.
You can do that.
Those are gonna go forward to the board business meeting for,
First reading.
the first readings, and then we can touch on the rest and figure that out, because I don't wanna,
Do you
prolong
want
this
to
dialogue.
touch on that at the business meeting itself? Okay, so yeah.
I'd just encourage us to have additional thoughts there. So this is still in the making. All right, so we're looking at, so did we already vote on moving this forward, 2325? Motion to move 2325 forward to the board business meeting for first readings.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Santiago, seconded by Commissioner Malloy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Can't open the next one, which is the board newsletter, standard operating procedure. Let me see, oh, I have it open here. Okay,
If you don't mind, while
And
you're
then,
pulling it up, I was able to check it out, and I do agree with everything that's currently on there, as far as the changes and the amendments for the board newsletter.
okay, thank you. So I want to open the discussion for the board newsletter. I haven't had an opportunity to open this discussion, and then we'll open
It's
it
not opening
for the
me.
board. It's not opening for
It
you?
wouldn't open last night either. It was just sitting there. It wouldn't do anything for me last night or before. It wouldn't open. And it's still not opening.
I hope this is the latest version I have up, because it's not opening in my board docs. We might want to check on that. I can't see a thing. So, looking at the newsletter, and forgive me, I have like this little tickle that I can't get rid of, so I'm fighting through coughing.
I can't see it that far, and I can't see it definitely that far.
Can you see it on your computer? Or
It's not pulling up on my computer at all.
you know, is this the same email draft that we all got as well? Like, no?
I couldn't pull it up last night either.
If you want, if you want to move to the next section, I can turn it off.
We can do that. You're so smart. Yeah, let's move over into some other items. We can come back to this. So you were talking administrative supports. Well, none of this is gonna open, Charisma.
Switch, can you,
I think it just takes.
can I recommend that you possibly switch CT or Cynthia over to here, bring it over here, so probably enlarge it so that I can see it?
Is this something that can be solved? And do we have a technology person here at all? It's just board docs acting up. Dr. Ross is, someone, he can access it, he doesn't know what's wrong with us. No, his is open just fine, yours is working fine too, Vice President Malloy. State monitor, I see yours is open.
You say if you log out and just access the line without yours, like if you, right now you're logged in. You just access it without it.
That's,
I have access to my email.
there you go, there we go. So Clerk Travis is going to email the communication to us so that we might be able to open the current version there. For the public facing, this is Board Docs. It's having a small technology issue right now, so some of us are not able to open our pieces, so we're waiting here. So we appreciate your patience.
How's it working for you? What internet are you connected to? Which internet are you connected to? See, I'm not connected to that one. Yeah, I'm gonna try to connect to that.
You sent it already, Charisma? Hmm. There we go. I have it now. So 7:07, it shows the newsletter SOP coming through. We can look along online through our email at this time. Everybody say aye when they have it. Aye. Okay. Okay, let's try to get through this here. The goal of the newsletter itself is to now I got pop-ups, here we go. So the goal of the newsletter, as stated in the SOPs, is for the board to continue the implementation of the student outcomes-focused governance model and share that work with the district as we move along. So the opportunity for the newsletter was to serve as a key communication tool to support this particular mission. Its primary goal, again, was to keep stakeholders such as students, families, staff, and community members informed about our goals, progress, and key initiatives in relation, again, to the student outcomes-focused governance. It will also provide timely updates and important developments and foster engagement by offering clear, accessible information about the board's work and opportunities for involvement. Again, the mission being the governance work that we are doing. When we talk about updates and things of that nature, that is in, hey, we've got budget sessions coming up, or we're coming to do community listening sessions. So we're giving very general, high-level updates such as that. The intention that we want to maintain is what I just read. So the areas that we're looking at right now is, I don't know if it was clearly communicated. And so I think people can look at things and interpret them differently, and that's what happens at times. So the matter on the table right now is the Commissioner's Corner, as well as the Advisory Group Corner. For the Commissioner's Corner, it reads here on page 2 of the SOP that each edition of the newsletter will feature updates or an article authored by a commissioner. This will highlight individual perspectives, promote transparency, and provide stakeholders with insight into the work and priorities of the board. Everything on here is to be in relation to the student outcomes governance. So the same with our advisory groups, maybe some general updates or events that are taking place. This is not meant for op-eds and things of that nature, respectfully. And so, given that, because we have the platform of open board discussions, we have the platform of media and all of those type of things, this is more, again, a newsletter to be disseminated around how we are aligning with our student outcomes-focused governance model, and communicating those type of things at a high general level. So I wanted to open that up because we do need to take a look at the SOP if it was not clearly stated. Does everyone have it open?
I will say, may I add something?
Yes, Vice President Malloy.
Yeah, I think just, we want to make sure that whatever operating procedures that we put in place, that it is based on that student outcomes-focused governance, and that it meets the purpose of having this newsletter in the first place, which is to help educate the community about why school systems exist and our governance model in general, and the work that we're doing to focus more on those student outcomes, those academic outcomes. So anything that we can do to make it more specific in that regard, I would support. I don't know that we necessarily need a commissioner's corner. I think that it might be more helpful to perhaps highlight what that student outcomes-focused governance looks like in our various schools, and maybe highlight what we see happening building by building. That's just my take.
Thank you, Vice President Malloy. Commissioner Griffin?
I would have to agree with Vice President Malloy. In addition, if it was to maintain a commissioner's corner, I think that a commissioner should highlight something governing a student's, something regarding a student outcome, maybe that they have experienced or that, it could be relevant to a student or a school. But I think that it is important to stay focused on moving forward in a positive direction in a newsletter. That's what usually happens when it's based on, like a district or, or an organization. So I think that positivity comes out of a newsletter, and I think that that's what we need to stay focused on.
Thank you, Commissioner Griffin. Commissioner Santiago?
Yeah, I do have a quick clarifying question. Is this policy are we trying to pass this policy before the next newsletter comes out?
We're looking at this as a regroup because the newsletter is in question right now. And it's not aligned with what the purpose of this student outcomes focused governance mission or what have you. As I read the goal of the newsletter, it's not in alignment. What that does, though, is shows that there's opportunity for clarification as well. And so we do need to make sure those points are clear, because right now they're not.
Okay. But if I can also add, I think that it would be unfair to also end the commissioner corner now after some commissioners have already been able to write on the commissioner corner, and then we got to end it before anybody else can continue. So I don't agree with ending it. I also don't agree with, too much restrictions as far as if it's commissioner's corner, you shouldn't be controlling, what the commissioner is saying if it's an individual commissioner. But I just need to ask that clarifying question.
Yeah, and I do hear you on that, because I thought about some of those pieces, and it's kind of like, you don't want to get into these matters of restrictive, but like I said, I don't know, we are, and I say this with love, y'all, but we are a viable case study, because things that other districts have never even seen, we somehow see them here at the RCSD, and it is amazing. It is amazing the things we are able to dream up. But I hear your point, Commissioner Santiago, when you talk about, not wanting to be restrictive. But what I did when I thought about being in alignment with governance is I looked at our behaviors, right? And I looked at the possibility of, at some point, it could be questioning something somebody else thinks they need to know about another commission. You know what I mean? Like, where does it stop? And the fact that we even went there in the newsletter is like, maybe we don't have the clarity. Maybe we're not ready for that. So maybe we can put some parameters on voting, but if we all don't see it the same, that becomes a matter of contention too. And again, this is to be a general newsletter about student outcomes and, hey, this school community did that. And, the real conversations happen right here on the dais. We have, we could do our own op-eds, white papers, all types of things. There's a lot of outlets. So this is not to silence people's voice, but it's just not the intention of the newsletter for certain type of communication respectfully. So we can either, one, figure out how to have a newsletter where we could potentially continue the commissioner's corner, but we would need to probably be able to vote on that thing, or we replace the commissioner's corner with something like school spotlights or catching you doing good, something that highlights positive things coming out of the district.
No, I think that it should stay. The guidelines that are down, I actually agree with. I just don't like that it's a little reactionary to, to something that's been proposed, and definitely what it was proposed about. If this was in the policy like originally before we had started before we got started, then it would be like 100%. But I also know that this is reactionary to proposed language that's already been proposed. And so, I have some problems with it. I'll support it because I agree with having that, as all the commissioners on the board will one day have to write on the commissioner's corner if we do continue it. But on the side note, I don't like how it's reactionary, but I do support it.
Well, policies are designed that way. usually something happens, something takes place that informs that a policy or some change in procedure needs to now be addressed. And so I do hear what you're saying as far as like reactionary or what have you. And also things, when we put our information out, as we continue, if we can continue with this Commissioner's Corner, make sure that the information is factual, that it's got to be factual as well, because this is going out to all of our staff, our teachers, our students, whomever will be able to take a look at this and let that, those facts speak properly as well. But I think it is reactionary in the sense of it was not anticipated that the understanding of this corner would not be understood. And so now that I'm seeing that it's not understood, we're having this conversation. So I do believe before the newsletters go out, and you all, maybe you have some on the president's corner. Like I got a little whole president's thing. Read that, and you might say, just what is she talking about? We don't need to put that out. You can call that the question. We can vote on that, but we can vote on this newsletter before anything goes out. Commissioner Griffin.
I totally agree with what you are saying. I believe that, again, I'm just going to reiterate the positivity of a newsletter with all the negativity surrounding RCSD. I think this is a positive step, and I think we don't need to take away from that. I would say keep the commissioner's corner, but in light of that, has student outcomes /student outcomes. So we are addressing what we're doing with that initiative to reach the goals in this community, in this district. It's unfortunate that we have to go resort to this, but I think that, in light of it, as we can use it as a stepping stone in moving in the right direction and making sure our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted when we're doing something of this nature, not thinking that we would have a problem as such. But again, it's a positive thing, the positivity of it. And we have platforms from everything else. So this platform is for the positive outcomes and to let the community know what we're doing in RCSD that is positive. So I think that in light of that, that's what we should do, and we should move forward. But I don't think we should hammer the nail into the wall. I think we should do a vote on it, and let's move forward.
So the opportunity we have here is to maintain the corner with the understanding that it needs to align with what the top of the newsletter never changed, what it says right at the top, what the purpose and mission of the newsletter is for. And so even my letter, the commissioner's letter, those things need to be in alignment with the goal of the newsletter. And with that, where would you recommend, Clerk Travis? I guess we would probably need to vote on, because I think we need to vote on if we're going to continue it, because this can continue. Like, right now it's here, but next weekend, next month, it could be something different. I might tell y'all the sky is purple and you say, no, it's blue. And I don't get to just tell you what I believe, and it may not be factual, and it may be factual for me. So we need to figure out how we can vote on the newsletter to ensure that we're putting out the proper information. Does that make sense?
So I guess those are two things happening. First is, do you all want to vote on this specific SOP? And when it comes to the actual newsletter, I would probably recommend adding that to the October business meeting to be voted on officially, unless you all want to do that tonight.
Well, I guess with the SOP, can we change, I'd like to change the language in it. I think it needs clarifying language when it comes to the commissioner. So I think and I can respect this, where it may have been interpreted. It says an article authored by a commissioner, which is what happens, it's the corner. But it says it'll highlight individual perspectives, promote transparency, provide stakeholders with insight into the work and priorities of the board. I think the clarity needs to be that it needs to be in alignment with the goal of the newsletter and student outcomes, focus, governance, mission, that's what the topics kind of need to.
So would we want to remove perspectives then from that description? Because when you have perspectives listed there, you're
Yeah.
opening a can of worms for that, and I have no interest, nor should any of us want to censor each other.
So yeah, we can just take that out and put promote student outcomes focused governance. I think it'd be easier to just do some highlights of schools and cool things that we saw. No, we don't need that mic.
I guess the other question I have here is, so we, say you all move forward with the parameters, right? And the commissioner, they in parameters, but I know the goal is to make it a positive newsletter. If it comes out negative, it's not board staff's, responsibility to say, hey, you can't push this
Let
forward.
me just be candid
So then
here.
my question is, like, do the board president then become the person to have to talk to that
See,
commissioner?
that's what I don't want that responsibility.
Right,
And that's why I'm like, let's just get away from it. Let me just be very candid, and I say this with as much respect as I can figure out. I just, like I said, we are a case study, and I literally saw this and said, man, and then started to imagine what other people are talking about at times. And are we in a space of readiness? And, to assess if you are in a place of readiness requires you to be able to have a level of introspect. You have to be able to reflect, and I don't know if we're doing that kind of stuff. So, I don't know, Charisma, what I want to do here. Yeah, what's your motion?
Can I make a motion to just simply remove the commissioner's corner altogether?
Writing the newsletter, just the board president with one message.
I've- Can the commissioners,
But if it's not the full board's voice, then it's just the board president, then it's really just a newsletter to use resources for the board president.
not at all. I didn't say, make that
I'm going
suggestion.
charisma. I'm
Okay.
saying. Yeah, sorry. I'm just saying that if there's not a commissioner's corner, then it's just the president speaking, being full forward. And I just have to just put on record how frustrating it is that we are beating a dead horse about a newsletter that our parents most likely won't see, read, or it will be reflective of like what's happening with them and their child today. It's not going to make a difference or an impact. But we didn't even spend all this time even having a conversation on this dais on public record about the payroll issue. These are the
I
things
agree.
that frustrate the crap out of me, wasting my time doing this. But I just want to point out that if there is no commissioner's corner, then it is just the board president being reflected every month. And at that point, and I don't care who the board president is, in my opinion, it is not then a collective board newsletter. It is the board president's,
And
whoever
that
that
is
person
why
may
the
be.
suggestion was to have a commissioner's corner and to have other pieces in there because there's no interest. I mean, I could go back, because I know former President Elliott did have a commissioner's corner on the website, and it was just the president's message that she kept every month. So, I mean, if I wanted to do that, I could just go and do that. But that's not my interest. So I think we're actually, believe it or not, in agreement on not wanting this to exist as just a president's letter or message. However, recognizing the things that are said from our dais, unfortunately, we are having a conversation that I'm upset too, because I talk about how I don't hear too much conversation about kids, right? We have these conversations more than we do kids. Commissioner Santiago.
Yeah, I just want to say I don't support that. And I also want to say, and this is no shot to nobody, but the only reason why this conversation is brought up in the first place is because one of our commissioners, Cynthia Elliott, proposed language in our commissioner corner speaking about Oracle and the issues with Oracle and what's currently happening. I just don't think that it's fair that we're trying to find ways to silence a voice about an issue. And I'm even reading this, and there's nothing in there that's saying anything that's misinformation. Like, these are all true things that are currently going on. And to see that, like, the reason why this policy is being proposed, or is being proposed to remove it, because one individual commissioner wants to talk about Oracle, which is affecting a lot of our staff, is truly unfair, really. And I said that in the beginning. And it's not like to call nobody out or to say I got you, but it's like this what warranted this conversation and trying to end it is because Oracle is talked about. You guys are trying to end that because in that discussion, it's talked about how there was a letter sent up to the comptroller's office by myself, Commissioner LeBron, and Commissioner Elliott. And I just feel like this is reaction onto Commissioner Elliott speaking about that. I saw this a
100%
couple
is.
weeks ago. But I don't think that we should find ways to remove things just because we're talking about the current issues. All she's saying is the issue that's currently happening and what's been done
Commissioner
so far by
Santiago.
3 individual commissioners. And so, yeah, I don't agree with that at all.
I appreciate your comments. I find it problematic, inflammatory, and irresponsible. I find the language in there to not even be 100% factual. So like I said, when we put out a newsletter, let it be factual. We recognize the actions of you all, and I don't want to get into that debate. You have every right to call for what you want to call for, not in the manner in which it took place, but that's not the matter of discussion there. The reason I'm concerned with that is because it says things about calling for things that, yes, those things were called for, but it alludes to them actually taking place, which is not factual. It says they agreed and all this other stuff. And so my point is that we, as commissioners, continue to center ourselves.
I'm just saying I'm actively reading it, and
Okay.
there's nothing in
We
here.
continue to center
There's nothing in
ourselves.
here that's saying any
And
wrong information.
What I'd like to challenge you to do is tell me, how does that align to student outcomes focused governance? The thing about that is that I'm talking to Commissioner Santiago right now. What I am saying here is those conversations can happen right here on the dais. They happen in the news, they happen face-to-face with employees, and they're ongoing. And they are being discussed openly, honestly, and transparently as much as possible.
I don't know if people
They
feel
don't
that.
belong in the newsletter.
We might be saying that, but I'm not sure if our staff feel that. A lot of people are in the gray area right now, so I don't believe people actually feel that. And it's not even about the Oracle issue. It's not even about that. It's about something was said and was written about that certain people don't like, and so now we're going to propose a policy to stop that because certain parts of the board doesn't like that there's information being put out there about an issue that's impacting thousands of employees. I don't agree with that. This is reactionary, and that's why I said it. At first, I was like, oh, this is great. But then after thinking about the proposed language by Commissioner Elliott and why this policy is being proposed, it has to do with that, and that's
Are
not
there any
fair.
legal ramifications to anything that was written, Counsel Neal?
Good evening, President Elliott. I'm sorry, President Simmons. My apologies.
No worries.
Without getting into specifics of details of confidential communication, I do think there are some elements that are problematic, and that would potentially would not necessarily serve as a accurate representation of facts and circumstances. Off a very complicated situation and a situation that's still evolving. And so I do think there is a legitimate concern with, statements as it pertains to
Different elements.
presenting certain opinions as fact. In something like the newsletter, I think that is potentially problematic. And again, in all fairness, it could be any commissioner at any time with any issue. So I think the conversation around either is a good one to have about either not having it at all or about some standards or
And
the board
this
voting
is-
on
yeah.
it as the board voting. And so it is a board, any statements or board consensus are appropriate to have.
I think given the amount of time, maybe we just need to pause on it because, this is not reactionary based on emotion. It's reactionary based on, wait a minute, hold up, what is this? Because next month it could be, I want to know what the fees were for this person and what they're doing here, and this has not been called for yet, and that could be the commissioner's corner. And I just think that we have the propensity to go down a rabbit hole of things that we're going to end up talking about and have an issue. The purpose, again, of this newsletter, I would have never imagined something like a newsletter taking almost an hour or whatever this is to discuss, right?
Right, but I do have to push back on legal because I'm reading what Cynthia wrote. And what she wrote was people were impacted because of the Oracle transition, that commissioners wrote a letter, that the comptroller responded to that letter. And just because we whistle blew, first of all, there, what my other fellow commissioners may not have experienced, that it doesn't matter what certain people say regarding even the administration, the comptroller has an obligation to open this and is fully impacted. But to that end, I just want to point out that there's nothing legal or illegal or incorrect that is stated in the commissioner's corner. Although I will acknowledge what our legal counsel is saying, that in the future there could be something that, especially if we have a case open, that could incriminate us or put us in a position where we're giving the other side an advantage to a case against us. But as it's written, there is nothing illegal. There's nothing even unethical in that statement. So I just want to point that out because people will hear our attorney and interpret that to say that Commissioner Elliott wrote something illegal or incorrect, and that is simply not true.
Respectfully, Commissioner, I didn't say that, and again, I'm not opining on specifics at this point. I'm speaking generally, like I'm saying it could apply to any commissioner and to any kind of statements, and I do want to caution the board about this, the open discussion of something confidential that is not published yet. Again, this pertains to there's a reason why we have executive session. It says matters leading to the appointment of particular organizations, right? So we're talking about organizations and contracts and things of that nature. So I'm not opining on any specifics. I'm speaking generally. And again, I do think is a legitimate concern, regardless of who the commissioner is, about making certain statements as fact, right, when we are in the midst of very complicated situations that we're evaluating daily for next steps.
I'd like to call the question. I'd like us to vote on this matter.
Well, at this time,
I'm not sure if that's
Is
the correct
there
protocol.
is there a motion on the table?
You got to call to order and motion it. If you're going to do it right.
Yeah, so,
Call to order and motion.
so I'm calling the question, and it's a motion to remove
first of all,
the
and
commissioner's.
also, I'm going to ask you for some clarity off kilter, legal counsel, I think. But yeah, and also I wanted to have the conversation without specifically bringing up names because you don't want to put someone out there in a spotlight or what have you. And I think there was a way to have the conversation responsibly. But call it reactionary. I think it's irresponsible communication. I think it's damaging, and it's not okay. And if you're going to recite it, then you should probably quote it perfectly right, because it actually said that there was an agreement for something that there was no agreement to that, and so that's misleading. You want to call to question Vice President Malloy. How does that work?
A motion to remove the commissioner's corner from the newsletter until further notice.
Motion to remove the Commissioner's Corner from the newsletter until further notice.
Can I get a second?
Motion by Commissioner Patterson,
Second it.
by Commissioner Griffin. All in favor?
I think there's a
Second.
section for
Sorry,
questions
yeah,
and comments, and I've been
yeah.
had my hand
Oh,
up.
open for discussion. Thank you.
I just want to say that I think that this is another action from the board to hide and not be transparent on what's going on with Oracle. That's affecting thousands of families, students, parents, teachers in our district. And it's unfortunate that this current board majority continues to do actions to hide what's being done to our staff instead of making actions and doing things to actually fix the issues that's impacting our staff. And so that's what I think. And I hope that this board gets their act together because people are still being affected. And I feel like certain people are disconnected from the reality of what our people are dealing with. And it's unfortunate. So we're going to do these actions to block transparency about Oracle when there are thousands of people still having questions, no matter how much you want to say you've been
didn't do
talking
it.
about it. And so my vote is a no.
Thank you, Commissioner Santiago. And I do want to validate that I had the opportunity to go and sit in the presence of RAP employees as well as Bente employees that have been impacted face-to-face, not through the dais, not through a newsletter, not through an article, but actually sit there. I actively find opportunities to either be present or seek out individuals. So certainly no, this is not an attempt to block things, but opinions are warranted, and they do come with these type of decisions. But this is, for me, not an attempt to block transparency, but to block the issues we have on this board, because it could be one of you next month. Matter of fact, I'm quite confident of that. And because we conduct ourselves in this way, I'm going to go ahead and chill until we don't have to have an hour-long conversation about a newsletter. That's what I think is important. And so at this time, we've got the motion on the floor. I got Commissioner Patterson has an item for discussion.
Yes, just so the general public and the administration knows, I know you know as administration, that the superintendent has done a great job being transparent with Oracle and the issues that we have here. This board is not trying to hide anything from you. We're just trying to become a functional board. We're being trained by the Council of Great City Schools on how to govern. And we're trying to stay in our role of, some of us are trying to stay in our role of governance. And that's basically to make sure that we give the superintendent the autonomy to do his job. And then question him relative to the questions that we do have. And he's done a great job, with, is Oracle perfect now? No, it isn't. We admit that. We admit there's some problems.
I think we should refrain from these conversations until we have
Okay, I understand.
guidance and
I got that.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that this administration knows, and everyone underneath it, and the people that are affected, that we're behind you. We support you. And we're being transparent. As transparent as we can. Obviously, we have counsel here that tells us what we can and can't say. But this administration is being as transparent as it can and helpful as it can at this point in time. And we hear you as a board. We hear you, we feel you. Thank you.
My question to the board is how many people are even impacted? What are the numbers of staff that are impacted?
I have it for
we
you
don't
right
even
here.
know the answer. So we're not
Commissioner
doing our job of
Santiago,
governance.
point of order,
It's not
you
the
were not
truth.
called on.
We do not have the answer. Even the number
Commissioner,
of
you're
people
speaking.
affected.
Commissioner, you are
And
speaking
so
out
it
of turn.
continues to be hidden day by
Commissioner,
day.
you are
Thousands
speaking-
of people
you are
are
speaking out of
affected.
turn,
I'll stand
Commissioner.
here and represent every single day for our students and our teachers.
Commissioner,
to
you-
argue
you-
that we're
you are
trying to
that-
govern,
Commissioner,
governance
that
is not
is-
happening.
that's
This board is not
inappropriate,
even
Commissioner.
successfully
I-
doing that. And I
Commissioner,
just
you
want to
gotta
get
be-
that out
Commissioner,
there
you
on
have
the
to be
public
recognized to
record
speak.
for our
It's
community
okay.
to
Recognized to
understand.
speak, and that
The
is-
community,
this is
they're
an
not
honor.
doing
Don't try to hush him. Let him go on, because this is the problem now. We sit here and we politicize things and pretend that, we fight in the good fight sometimes,
You
right?
guys don't even know the answer. You don't know what's going on. We don't
Know
know
the
the
answer?
issue. There's nothing happening.
Maybe if we allow
We're
this
not
meeting-
getting any
Commissioner Griffin.
information.
No,
So
I
co-
just want to vote, so
so
I'm a
President-
no
No,
vote.
you've already shared that, and we appreciate your sharing.
On record, because I need to make a call while you guys.
Okay, we understand that. So, this is the problem now, Most of us weren't even here when Oracle was brought in.
That's exactly what I was saying. There's no government.
Point of order, please.
Point of order, he was not directed to speak.
Okay, well, this is a point of contention, and everyone, has their feelings. It's a very strong time, and we do see our employees going through a lot. I detest and despise anyone who purports that I don't care. And the whole politicizing who cares more and who's fighting more accurately, I detest that too. I send it back to the pits from which it comes, because this is my family, my community that I serve, and the school district that I signed up to serve. So maybe it ain't looking the way you think it should look for you, but
Nobody said you didn't care.
please do not
I didn't say
accuse
nobody
folks
didn't care.
of
What I said is that
Commissioners, please, the board president
board
gets
body-
to recognize speakers.
I haven't
The board
recognized
president
either
gets to
one of
recognize
you.
speakers.
the board
And-
body
and the
isn't
fact
doing
that you
its work
can't-
of governing. That's what
Isaiah?
I'm saying. I didn't say nobody didn't care. I said that we're not doing our job.
argument, or
That's what I said.
I'm calling
No, I just
point of
want to
order.
clarify because you're saying I'm saying something that I never said.
telling you.
I didn't say nobody cared. I said that we're not doing the work that's
Santiago.
important. And we're saying that we're governing. We don't even know the numbers or getting answers. So it's a false lie that we're
Robert's
giving to the
rules.
community, and it has to stop.
haven't been
People are
recognized.
affected, and they continue to be
Sounds
affected.
good, and this is the problem now. Don't hold up. This is the problem now. That sounds real good, but it ain't true. No,
Commissioner, are you-
stop.
Commissioner-
I
Then tell
don't
me the
need
number
that.
of
President
employees
Simmons.
affected.
You
right
tell
now.
me the number.
We don't know, and that's why I'm saying
So
if we're a
we-
governing
but we have the
body,
person.
then we should know.
We have the individuals here that will give us the
We're
clarity.
not giving answers. They're not giving answers neither.
The topic on the table right now was about the newsletter. The topic on the table right now was about the irresponsible messaging, not a reactionary thing, not the accusation that just came across saying we trying to hide things. What the problem is it was irresponsible, inaccurate, and potentially an issue. So based on that understanding, we're going to remove it. We're not going to play this game.
Thank you.
And we don't want to hide the fact that we know this thing got voted in 2021 at 12 million and ballooned to 46 million by 2024. I wasn't the
Under
president,
new leader-
right?
under other
We
leadership.
don't want to talk
Blame
about,
people. That's not
nobody
the
was.
problem. We're trying to
Then,
figure out
Isaiah,
the
why are you
issue
talking
and
about it
find
now?
solutions. That's all.
Sure.
Saying is, this thing can go down a rabbit
No
hole.
issue. You weren't even here.
And so the accusations of where people stand
I'm at every meeting.
do not
Every meeting I'm here.
do not tell people where they stand on a matter. I have family members impacted by this. I talk to employees. I got stopped in the grocery store. I lose sleep over this. And I ask questions around this. We are asking questions around the timeline, all of those things. And there's a responsible way to have this, this conversation. And the reality is, we did not do a good job this evening. But I will not sit here and let anybody tell anyone listening to this that this board does not care about what's happening to employees,
that.
or that we are not in tune with it,
Reply.
or that we're trying to hide and not be transparent.
Thank you.
What we are trying to be is responsible,
For something.
and
we
that
had
is the
nothing to
matter
do
of the
with.
conversation.
Pay the staff.
With
That's
that
responsible.
said,
They
I'm
work
going
the
to,
hours. Pay
I'm
the
going to
staff.
stop
That's
this communication
responsibility,
at this
and
time.
that's all I'm saying.
We have a motion on the,
Don't be mad at me, be
on the
mad at
board.
Oracle.
There's no anger here, but I detest it. Say that?
But this was no personal.
I can't hear you, Charisma. Okay, so you just
So
need the
all
rest
in
of the
favor?
votes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have them? Okay, we're going to move forward. I apologize that we didn't get through this. We usually do real clean, but we didn't get through this discussion very clean. So now we have a resolution for review, and that is the October academics. Now, mine opened up in, yes.
Sorry, to go back real quick to the newsletter. So I understand the Commissioner's Corner is being removed, but the President's desk, the revisions that's there, are you all looking to accept that? Or are we just leaving the SOP as it already is, just removing the corner?
That should be removed too.
I can't hear
So-
you.
so
Let me, hold on, let me call, I'm gonna try one last time to call this to order. And I'm gonna ask that commissioners from both sides of me allow for me to hear from the clerk. What were you saying, Charisma?
So my question is, so I understand that the Commissioner's Corner has been removed. The rest of the SOP with the President's desk had revisions. Are you all looking to amend those revisions tonight? Or are you looking to keep the SOP as it is?
The SOP needs to be rewritten. And so, but we're not gonna get through that this evening. So we can put that for a, piece, because we've got to revisit the newsletter. Because the fact that we have this kind of discussion over a newsletter, the spirit is just so sad to me. It's just a sad, sad spirit.
People not getting paid is sad to me too.
So from what I'm hearing then, we're in October. There's supposed to be an October edition. We're still going to release it at the end of this month without the Commissioner's Corner, and then we'll put it on a future meeting to figure out logistics moving forward. That's what my understanding. Okay.
We can go ahead and do that for now. So we can put a pin on that? Thank you. All right, so it looks like we are at academics, which is a resolution review. October academic resolutions. Okay. Okay, so there's two documents tonight. It's Resolution 215, it looks like. Excuse me, so some of the information was cut off. The second attachment includes a readable copy. The second attachment also includes administrative approval trees, which may have shifted resolutions to different pages. So we're going to open the floor to questions from commissioners regarding the academic resolutions.
President Simmons,
Yes.
regarding academic resolutions, I just want to make sure that, EB, I want to make sure I'm in the right one. 9. Is this concluding the one with the gym, the athletics?
If you could point us to the resolution
Yeah, I'm
number
trying to,
you're
because
looking at.
all of them said 9, and then, okay, hold on. Okay, 213, hold on one second. I wrote it down, but I don't have my notebook with me. I apologize.
While you're looking that up,
Yep,
Commissioner
go
Griffin,
ahead, go ahead.
I'm going to move
Go
along
right ahead
on
and
the
move
date.
along. It was a question
I
I
am.
had.
Thank you. I'm going to move along on the dais for anybody who may have questions or thoughts on the academic resolutions before us.
I got it right here. It's on Resolution 215. I'm just curious. I see, and I don't know if Dr. Rosser or maybe Ms. Blocker can answer it. There's quite a bit of funding here, and I'm seeing a lot of sports in different schools, but still lacking one specific school that I watched very carefully because they were supposed to have increased their athletics department within the last 2 years, and it still seems like it's stagnant. And that is Padilla/Franklin High School. Can we have some insight on why we're not seeing the football teams being developed there and other sports activities outside of soccer? Can somebody give me more insight on that?
I'm sorry, I just want, before Commissioner Griffin, I just want to make sure I'm clear. You said Resolution 215?
Yeah, I think yeah, 215.
Okay, and that resolution is regarding a budget toward
Athletics?
the athletics, and these are to approve the stipends given to, so that's the nature of that resolution. Do you have anything regarding
Yeah,
the
and-
resolution, the stipends for the?
Yeah, and what my question is, and it's a twofold, the increase of athletics at Padilla, and my second thing is how are we tracking to make sure that the coaches are attending and regularly attending the practices, and kids are not going to the practices and the coaches are not attending, and then there's a fallout there because there has been questions and people stating that the children are going to the practices and the coaches are not present. It may not happen at every school, but it's happening. So
I
my
appreciate that.
concern is that how are we making sure that the coaches are attending and showing up to teach the students? And secondly,
Capture that.
why am I still seeing a less thereof of athleticism at Padilla Franklin High School?
Thank you. Charisma, did you capture that?
I did. First question is the only one
Can you repeat your first question for Charisma?
versus soccer.
No. Basically, the athleticism at the school itself has not increased in the last 2 years. Based on my position, when I first came into sat in this seat, we were supposed to have a football team that was supposed to be at Franklin/Padilla, now Padilla Franklin, however you want to say it. But at the end of the day, that has not been done. When I look at this amount of money that's being spent, I'm still not seeing an increase in the athletics department within Franklin. They had the pool that was supposed to be opened up. We were supposed to increase the football team. We were supposed to have all these things.
Did you
yet
capture
I'm
that
not
corre-
seeing it. So
okay.
I'm asking,
You
the
got
question I'm
both of 'em?
asking is how and when are we going to do this?
You got
This
'em.
money that was spent, and where was the money that was used last year, and we still don't have a football team?
Thank you.
Even with the cheerleaders, how are we supporting them?
Got
These
you.
are things that are crucial to kids. I know when I was in school,
Commissioner
I loved
Griffin,
that.
I'm sorry. At this
yeah.
point, this meeting has gone so far
Yeah,
off
but
the
I wasn't
rails
the
for
one
us.
that did that, and I want to explain to the
No,
community my aspect.
Commissioner
and
Griffin, if I
understand and
can call
respect that.
this to order for a
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, I understand
What
that,
I
but
do
don't
want to
wanna be
say is
cut off
that
like
the
that.
commissioners, I mean, the
respect
meeting has
it.
taken some turns.
Yeah.
So what we do have are your questions, and they
Yes.
have been added to the question log. Charisma, are you clear on those questions? So they are captured for the question log to be followed up on. At this time, we have resolutions, for the academic resolutions specifically, we have them on the table. And they start from resolution, was that 205, ending at, I'm sorry, I don't even have all of them on here. Let me just scroll on down to the bottom here. The last one being resolution, 216. Clarity from Vice President Malloy.
Yeah, these are some of the resolutions that we can expect to see on the consent agenda at our business meeting. So we're not voting on them tonight. They're going to be on the October business meeting consent agenda.
Well, if we vote on them tonight, right, they'll be officially voted on once they reach that October business meeting. But after we discuss these and look at them tonight, once we get to that business meeting and they're on the consent agenda, all we do is vote. There's no discussion for anything that appears on the consent agenda. Thank you for that point of clarity. Any other questions regarding this package of resolutions under academic resolutions?
To just be clear with Commissioner Griffin, based off of the question you asked about 215, because the consent agenda is not supposed to have questions typically, are you okay moving that forward when President Simmons move forward with the entire academic packet? Or does that need to be pulled out until you get your answer? That's really it?
No, because the question is not in relation to
okay.
if it was a question about the actual resolution, but her question should be answered there in the, if we approve, or whatever the case is, they're in the agenda. You got them? This is about if we're approving for teacher stipends.
Coaching.
That's what this is about, for coaching. So, but I understand the nature of her questions, but that's not what this resolution gets. So with that said, resolutions 205 through 216, moving forward to the consent agenda for the business meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Griffin.
Second.
Second by Vice President Malloy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Those move forward. Okay, we're at the budget calendar, it looks like. Or did I miss anything? I'm going to turn the mic over to our Superintendent Rosser and CFO Dow. McDowell, thank you.
So, good evening, everyone. We have put together a budget calendar for the 26-27 school year in which we would like to present to the board. Of course, this is a draft budget calendar that we would like to, after our presentation, be able to move forward to the board meeting on October 30th for approval. Mr. McDowell is going to walk us through the budget calendar, highlighting those elements of the budget calendar that are going to be very important for us to be mindful of as we develop the 26-27 budget. Mr. McDowell?
You got it. Thank you, Superintendent Rosser. So obviously today starts the budget calendar, as you can see in the illustration here. And we have a couple community forums next Monday, and then the following Tuesday of this month on the 28th. And then we have a hopeful vote for the adoption of the budget at the end of the month on the 30th. In November, we'll start to prioritize our budget priorities and look to give a presentation right before Thanksgiving on November 20th. After Thanksgiving, we'll start to look at our enrollment. Budget sheets will be given to the budget managers, and then the superintendent and I on the 18th of December will present our initial assumptions for the budget. After Christmas, we'll come back and we'll look at the recommendations that are due on the 13th. Hopefully, we'll have the governor's state aid initial runs sometime after Martin Luther King's birthday. And then on the 27th or so, we're hoping to get staffing recommendations. Once we move into February, we will be looking to have a balanced budget via the cabinet, and then we'll present on the 26th after President's Day holiday in February. Moving into March, we expect to have a balanced budget to the state monitor in the early portions of the month. Then towards the end of the month, we look to present that the superintendent and I and other staff. So by the 31st, we're hoping that the budget calendar will be available to the board. In April, we have numerous presentations and deliberations that we'll be looking to receive and respond to the board. I think there are 2 of them in August.
April.
What's that? I'm sorry, in April, yes, sorry about that. In April, and we will conclude with hopefully receiving the city's hearing and their information for the dates that will be relevant for them in May and June. We look to have the last deliberations at the beginning of May, and then we hope to adopt the budget sometime right around Mother's Day, May 12th, and then publish it on the 13th. In June, we'll do our joint public hearing, and then we hope that the city council will vote on the budget sometime between the 14th and 16th of June.
So colleagues, one of the things I want to sort of point out that is different about this budget calendar would be my, as well as the CFO's engagement with our community next week and the week after. I find it to be extremely important that we seek information from our community on what they would like to see in our budget, particularly as it relates to our strategic plan, the 5 priority areas, to help inform what the budget priorities will be moving forward. Once I receive that information from those engagements, we most certainly will consider everything that the community has shared with us as we then develop the budget priorities. Those budget priorities would then be shared with our building principals as well as our department heads so that they can then develop budgets around those budget priorities. So that's a shift from what I understand the Rochester City School District has done in the past. But one of the things I wanted to make sure is that prior to us engaging the entire staff in the budget process, that we first seek to understand what does our community seek as it relates to budget priorities aligned to our strategic plan. So that is a shift from what I understand the district has engaged in the past, but it's something that I've engaged in my former school district.
Yes, before I open it up for additional comments, excuse me, I got this cough. I do want to explain that in addition to the budget calendar, the board calendar has been updated to include budget deliberation dates and the budget vote. Clerk Nguyen is also currently waiting on notice from the city for those council dates. The budget calendar and board calendar will be brought back to be amended once the city dates are finalized. So I do want to reference that, and with that, Commissioner LeBron.
Yeah, I just want to point out, though, like, as we're planning a budget, that we also should be looking at a Plan A, Plan B, what happens if the shutdown continues? The entire Department of the Department of Education for special ed has been entirely let go. That will impact us. And I don't know what the district's number is, but the county has a number, the city has a number, systems have a number. So I think we need to understand what that number of impact is for us. And I can tell you, 35 days into this, SNAP will start being impacted for people, then WIC. And that's where we're at. So I think we need to understand what's our number with special ed, what's our own contingency plan to some of these federal cuts and changes. And I think that we should anticipate that Project 2025 is at 58 capacity completed right now, with the president and the Heritage Foundation moving forward at full speed, and that there are still additional things identified in there that have not yet been implemented or are also on, are going to be implemented. And so I just want to put that out there. I think there has to be alignment towards that more than anything right now, because if we don't have a contingency plan for funding that's not coming in, then it's going to be a really tough budget year as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner LeBron. Did you have, yes?
Yeah, so to your point, Commissioner LeBron, you bring up very good points. One of the things that we have already engaged in discussion about is what might be the impact. And we're going to be presenting and developing a budget that takes in consideration that the federal government may not come through as they have in the past, and even the state government may not come through as they have in the past. I had a conversation with one of our local legislative delegates, and they indicated to me that, or they indicated to the group that the state is already facing a $10 billion gap in their budget. So we're anticipating and bracing for impact, and we will be presenting a budget that reflects that.
Thank you, Dr. Rosser. Any other commissioners with statements regarding the budget calendar as presented? I know that they did mention, even in previous months, or last budget season even, that we would start to see the impact, not in that moment, but 26, 27, we can definitely count on it, and even before then, which we are seeing now. So contingency plans were definitely things that were brought up, and I think the points are salient and necessary, and I'm looking forward to continued conversation. With no further discussion, CFO Mr. McDowell, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
On here, Charisma, I see the speakers forum track changes on here. I think it's is it just up, it says speakers forum, but is it just updating our calendar for the work sessions? Or oh, I thought that had made it on already. So if commissioners want to click on that, the speakers forum, you can now see where it will fall.
So I'm sorry, the title of the document includes speaker forum, but the actual document is updating the budget
Okay.
calendar into your main calendar.
Okay, that's, okay, I was so confused when I saw speaker forum. I'm like, why is that there? Okay, so this calendar is now showing the updated budget sessions for us. And we, again, Clerk Nguyen has indicated that she's still waiting on dates from the city, so once those come through, this calendar will be revised and updated once again. I guess we can vote on the budget calendar as is, and then we can, we'll need to revise it. Do we need to vote on that right now? So,
We're going to bring it forward to
the business meeting?
October 30th meeting.
Okay, so we'll vote on it at that time. So this is more FYI informational purposes. And so, resolution review, October administrative support
No,
resolutions.
sorry, I need you guys to vote on the budget calendar to be forwarded to the business meeting.
I'm sorry, thank you. Yes, motion to move the budget calendar as proposed to the business meeting for further.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Santiago, seconded by Vice President Malloy. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that calendar goes forward, and now we're looking at resolution reviews, October administrative support resolutions. And this is starting with Resolution 217 to Resolution 226, it looks like. I'm sorry, 227. With that, I'd like to open the floor in consideration of Resolutions 217 through 227.
Motion.
Entertaining a motion by Commissioner Patterson,
Second?
seconded by Vice President Malloy. Open for discussion. Resolutions 217 through 227 are now open for discussion. These are
yes.
Administrative support resolutions.
Can you explain Resolution 220? It's the community place, which, let me put on my glasses. Sorry, guys. I missed this one. So, what are we actually doing here with the community place? Does anybody have information on this one? As far as the community place, Greater Rochester? What actually is happening with this particular? I'm sorry, to the listening public, I just happened to see this, and I'm just curious of what we're actually doing here.
If I can point your, can I speak? If I can point your attention to the second paragraph where it starts with whereas, since December 2022, the Community Place of Greater Rochester, Inc. has provided the initiative, including the following during the regular school day at participating schools throughout the district at no cost to the district or students. Recruiting, selecting, and enrolling volunteers consistent with federal regulations, including criminal history check and related documentation, coordinate pre-service physical examination of volunteers, provide accident and liability insurance coverage for volunteers, maintain responsibility for management and physical control of the foster grandparent program and orientation, as well as in-service training on an ongoing basis. And there's more to follow, but as you can see, this is a no-cost opportunity for the Rochester City School District to partner with the Community Place of the Greater Rochester in implementing the foster grandparent program, by which, as I've stated previously, the more we partner to empower individuals to care for our children in a manner that is going to address their holistic needs, the better our children will be.
Thank you, Dr. Rosser. Do we have any, is this first time we did this, or this is an
It says
ongoing?
since December 2022.
Okay, do we have, so we have updated information on this and kind of data that supports how many kids have we actually worked with during this program? I'm just interested, it's a good program. I just want to know, how effective it is. So it's because something's free, we need to know how effective it is. So I just would like to know, because, knowing this is half the battle. You know what I'm saying? So I would love to have more information on it.
You don't do anything with the info.
So,
So frustrating.
if we could get that information, I would love to be able to share it as well. Thank you.
Can I have one comment?
Go ahead, Vice President Malloy.
Yeah, I'll just make this brief. In the, let's see, if you look underneath the executive summary, the executive summary has how this particular resolution addresses the specific goals, like board goals as well, in the strategic plan, right? And so part of that is decreasing chronic absenteeism by 2% each year. So those goals are laid out here, I think, in that executive summary. And so they even talk about reporting trends, and so these are definitely numbers that are going to be kept track of, I think, moving forward, Right.
With that said, with the request on the table, excuse me, let me use my mic. I got you, Dejan. With the request on the table, is that something that would require four more hours from administration, by chance? Does anyone know to look that type of information up,
We can
probably?
most certainly look into that, but it's unknown at this point in time. I would
Okay.
need to meet with the team, particularly Executive Director Briggs, and determining.
Well, if it's going to take 4 more hours, again, I even though it may have come out in such the way that it did this evening, as you all can tell, we've got a lot of priorities in this district. I think it has to be voted on to happen, and then, you know, because aren't these type of reports going to come out eventually through other avenues? Like, we have the progress monitoring for academics, but so once in a while, we get like a report on like different agencies or supports that are happening. And so I would that maybe that information come out naturally as it's scheduled to. So I'm not going to ask that we spend that amount of time right now. I'm sorry. Who did? Oh, hi, State Monitor, Elisea.
You, President Simmons, as a former teacher, kindergarten teacher, as a former building administrator, we have the foster grandparent program in our building. And these are senior citizens that are assigned to a specific classroom. They don't work one-on-one with students. They just go to a classroom. They support the kids. If someone needs some extra help, they are to provide. So these are not one-to-one volunteers to work with kids. This is to support a classroom and to support the students. And once in a while, there's just a kid who needs an extra hug from a grandpa or a grandma. That's what they're there for in the
So
classroom.
let me just be very clear. Let me just say something really quickly to the listening public. My mother was a foster child, and she was a foster parent for 18 years. So you don't have to explain to me anyone about being a foster parent and having foster siblings, because I grew up with them. They were in our home.
I think he was just
So I
telling you the
just wanna
nature
make
of the
sure that
program.
what I'm trying to say, wait a minute. What I'm trying to say is that I would just like to know more about it, because this is the first time I've seen it. People are
Okay.
taking something very small, and as they do on this board, they make it very big. I just asked to see, because I would like more information on it. That is
Okay.
it. That's all.
The
Thank you very much.
information being
That's all
requested
it
is going to
I
re-
support this 100% to the listening
Okay,
public.
the information being requested at this time will require administration to exercise more than 4 hours of time. Based on the priorities of the district, it doesn't sound as if we are in a position to support that request. We are not going to ask administration to do that at this particular time. However, we do respect
That is
it.
fine. It's not a big deal. I just asked.
I understand, I'm just making that statement, and Commissioner LeBron?
I do want to clarify that you guys are talking about the Senior Corps program, and that the government collects data and publishes data on Senior Corps. There's an actual website, it's like AmeriCorps, but for seniors, and that is actually the funding stream attached both to community plays that help foster this program and allow seniors to do other jobs and tasks, and they're retired, and this is keeping them fresh and young in our community and giving back. But there is a lot of data. There's already lots of research out there around the impact of Senior Corps in our schools, and it is available on the government's website. But Senior Corps, C-O-R-P-S, like AmeriCorps, you should be able to pull up data. And I'm sure that there is information about our school because they do break it down by state and districts. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner LeBron. So right now, we have resolutions on the floor for and forgive me, I think I'm not sick, so you're not gonna catch anything. I know I'm coughing a lot, I just can't get rid of this tickle. We have several resolutions on the floor, they're 217 through 227. Motion to move resolutions 217. Oh, do I? Thank you. Oh, yeah, because we were having a discussion. I got lost in it. So all in favor, 217 through 227, aye. Any opposed? Okay, 217 through 227, carry. All right. We're at the Mental Health Ad Hoc Committee. Written reports. Okay, so tonight's agenda apparently has a memo regarding updates with the Mental Health Ad Hoc Committee. Are you reading that, or is this just for board to just read it for your reference when you have the opportunity? If you have questions around the work that has been taking place, those folks that are serving, we do want to thank them for coming out and actually serving in this capacity for us. So this is available for public to look at, as well as board members if you have not already seen it. And I don't think we have an executive session on the agenda this evening. Sorry, I'm excited. It's 8:16. With that said, nope, y'all out of, hold on, let me do it. Okay, motion to end this night's work session. Motion. Okay, motion by Commissioner LeBron, seconded by Vice President Malloy. All in favor?
Aye.
We are out of here. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.